Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another top 10. This time it's going to be top 10 reasons I hate Star Wars. So it's all tongue in cheek, but this is actually a clip that you're going to see out of one of my Backyard TARDIS Random Thought podcasts responding to the Scarif Scuttlebutt's top 10 reasons they hate Star Wars. They did a whole podcast about it, and so I thought I'd have fun and share mine. So here's the clip. All right, on Scarif, they also did a top 10 things they hate about Star Wars. So I figured I'd just jot down 10 here real quick, and this will probably be split out into my own top 10 thing, but it's 10 things that Backyard TARDIS hates about Star Wars. Number 10, canon retconning. This is very frustrating. Great effort was put with how loose and fast the Star Wars expanded universe became. Great effort was made to continually make sure and ground over any rough edges of canon retconning. And eventually we kind of had a cohesive, this is what it is. However, I understood Disney was going to tell a big story media. They weren't going to directly adapt a book. And they wanted to kind of start from fresh. They didn't want to have to work inside this very cramped space that they've given themselves with this expanding network. So they got rid of that and said that is legacy. Now, or legends. Now, in my opinion, if they were going to call it legends, that those characters should still exist in Star Wars. Some of the basic plot points should somewhat happen, kind of like they did in those books, so that, yeah, they were legends. Maybe it happened that way, maybe it didn't, and that's just hyperbole how the story's been told, but some version of these things have happened. They're just legends. But when you have Han and Leia only having one kid instead of three, and his name is Ben, it's not the names of the previous kids, all of a sudden, it throws all that out the window. Like, none of those books can even remotely be possible. But here's the thing. Even that, I would have been okay with, and I would have understood from a corporate level why they did it, even though I'm not happy with what we got instead. I would have still understood, but we have comics being retconned by cartoons, comics are retconning books, cartoons are retconning books, and then live action TV shows are retconning cartoons, and it's just constantly establishing new canon from the story group and constantly retconning it. Canon is a joke at this point, because it just seems like whenever they got a better idea, they just retcon something. So now nothing stays permanent canon. It's always based on what's the latest. Now, had it been a clear cut, they formed this story group and it would all stay. And then you have books that retcon the movies. That's right. There are books that change things about the movies. So, and we're told to treat that like canon. That's mind-boggling. That we're constantly, and it wouldn't be so mind-boggling if there wasn't a whole team of people whose job it is to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, we got movies that practically retcon the last movie. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so that was number 10. Number 9, the Boba Fett Mod Squad. This really upset me. There were a number of things that I didn't care for in the Book of Boba Fett, but there were moments in it that I enjoyed. But the Mod Squad has got to be the worst. One, their vehicles do not fit in with the motif of Tatooine, because you're on a sandy planet and they are just like so shiny. I don't mind that they're colorful. I mind that they're shiny, that they have no dust, scratches, and wears and tears. The they don't look like they have any muscle. And yet, they're supposed to be Boba Fett's muscle. Um, they just didn't do anything cool, and their shiny mopeds move so slow. So slow. Um, I mean, I could just see somebody animating the gag of like just everybody walking past them. All these like slow things, like a turtle passing them, different, because they were going so slow. They looked like they were on a scooter, and to me, it just felt like they were supposed to speed that footage up, and then like they ran out of time and never did it. Was it supposed to be like this high speed chase? And it's like they're just like casually cruising through the town. They took down Black Chrysanthemum. That really weakened his character. My for all the building up they did of him, the fact that the mods took him down did not build the mods up. It took Black Chrysanthemum down a peg. And then the finale was like teetering on the edge of, man, the last 2 episodes were really good. Maybe the finale, we got riding of Rancors and all this stuff. And then the mods are there, and they're helping it just teeter down to where I don't like the ending. Yeah, I just don't like me some mods. It's funny because I put that on here, and then I put for my number 8, Slow Speed Chase. Which at first I look at my note and I thought, I just talked about that. But no, I am talking about the one in The Last Jedi. The idea that, okay, I'm someone who can actually get past some of the stuff with Luke. Not everything, but some of the stuff with Luke. I feel it wasn't justified on how that, they didn't earn showing Luke like that. But the other stuff, that the concept of like this slow speed chase of where the First Order is just like following them, taking pot shots at them, but they're slow speed chasing like like footage of the O.J. Simpson chase. It's just like, no, we don't want to cause a scene, so we're just gonna follow them until they run out of gas. People are able to leap away and come back, but they've not caught up with, like, just thinking about how that works upsets me. Okay, number 7. This one's gonna be toxic fans. And this is not talking about people who hate Star Wars or people who... This is talking about both sides. There are people who are just extreme. They can't take opinions. And usually these are the people that are quick to label other people as toxic fans. And this is on both sides. There are people who will bully an actor, who are of the camp that you need to be loving everything Star Wars. But Gina Carano should be fired because she said a tweet that was offensive. That's not positivity. You got the other side of the fandom that is just making fun of everybody who, if you like this movie, you're not a Star Wars fan. And they're sending death threats to actors and doing that. It's just not worth it. Like, I am no bar none, do not hold back when I don't like something. I let people know I'm not into that. I don't like that. But you know what? I am never upset that somebody else likes it. Never upset that somebody else likes it. I am glad that they are part of the fandom. And, I'm not a fan of the sequels, but if I see a young little Rey at a convention or something, a little girl dressed up as Rey, or at Disneyland or something, I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, Star Wars. It's just, yeah. And like I said, it's not one side or the other, it's both extremes. Okay, number 6. Anakin kills younglings. Here's the thing. I walked out of the theater at this moment. Why? Because up to this point, Anakin's go to the dark side. Vader, this epic, one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. His fall has been all the whiny reasons that somebody is like a whiny teenager. And here's my problem with that. There are tons of people who are whiny teenagers, and, they have to grow up and get over it. And the whole, Padme, this, that. When he decides he's got to save Padme, I see, okay, he chose the side of the Emperor. The Emperor's got to ease him into that. You don't go from being the good guy, the savior, and then you think the only way to truly save everyone is to bring order, to bring an end to this war, to do... Go have him kill the head of the Separatists. It totally makes sense. Jedi would arrest him, he's going to kill him. That kind of thing makes sense. But your first order of business is, okay, you've decided that the working for the bad guy is actually how you're going to bring peace and order to the galaxy. First thing I want you to do, go murder some children. Up close and personal. That is worse. I mean, you go, oh, well, he murdered millions of children when he blew up Alderaan. And he just stood by and watched. Well, that was faceless. There is a different thing between doing than hitting a button to launch a missile or shoot a laser than actually sitting there and slicing up kids who are begging you to help them. That is such a turn that I felt was unearned. And it wasn't until the Clone Wars cartoon that they showed some other things, but still, to me, that feels like too big of a first act. Okay, number 5. We're getting here up on my gripes. Number 5 is Reylos. Okay, these are an interesting set of the fandom, and I'm never one to tell somebody not to fandom the way they want to fandom. I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fandom. I'm used to dealing with the furries and stuff like that. But Rey and Kylo are not a good couple. They're not good for each other. They're not some romantic tale. It's an abusive relationship. And I honestly feel that the Reylos are really distracted by Adam Driver's abs. They want that to be a thing, but no, that should not be a thing. And I think there's a big difference between someone like Luke still seeing good in Vader. Rey doesn't just see good in Kylo. She feels the idea that she would feel romantic affection for him is a very, very different thing. She looked at Han Solo in the brief time she knew him like a father figure, and then she watched this man murder him, and in the next movie they're having saucy moments. That just does not work for me. I'm sorry. And the people who are really a strong proponent of this, kind of going back to the toxic fan, some of them tend to be the most forceful of their opinion on others. And if that's what you want in your fan fiction, that's good, but do not expect a big major studio to do that. That should not be something we're pushing. The fact that it feels like J.J. Abrams, like when he did Rise of Skywalker, it was like he had a checklist. Okay, fans are upset about this The Last Jedi, they're upset at this Last Jedi, and it looks like fans are asking for Kylo Ren and that to have a relationship, really, and it feels like the kiss and different things they did was like checkbox. He was going, okay, people didn't like this, oh, they weren't a big fan of Rose Tico, so we're going to write her out of most of the movie, but some people feel like she should be there, so she's still going to make an appearance, but briefly, check, it just felt like... and the Reylo stuff felt like that, and that they should not have done that. That should not have been a thing. Okay, number 4. Oh, sticking with the sequel trilogy here. Luke having a Force stroke. Okay. In The Last Jedi, we saw Luke being the hermit, being that. And you know what? I didn't have a problem with that, like a lot of people do. You saw Yoda do that. You saw Obi-Wan do that. But Luke should not accept the call to action. When we finally saw him do the call to action, it's badass. It's like he's like dusting it. But then he just dies of like a Force stroke. That was an unnecessary death. There was nothing in precedent in Star Wars that said that would kill him. Carrie Fisher had died, which meant we knew we would not have her for the next movie. So having more Luke Skywalker could make up for that. It's like they just killed him because they wanted to kill him. It's lame. It takes something really cool. Finally, like Luke stepping up, or getting the Luke Skywalker we wanted, and then he strokes. Okay. Return of the Jedi Special Edition. Yes, that is my number 3 most hated thing in Star Wars. When it comes to the original trilogy, like growing up, Return of the Jedi is my favorite. The special editions, New Hope probably lowers it by a star. Empire Strike Back, I would say, is even superior to the original edition as a special edition. But when it comes to Return of the Jedi, it takes it from one of my favorite movies to one of my least liked Star Wars movies. The stuff in the Jabba Palace scene, that was one of the coolest things for me as a kid. Getting all those little action figures, learning all the names of the little aliens in there, and just poring over pictures and books and just watching that scene over and over again. And then to have this CGI fest of what looked like it was meant for a 3D show with the lips coming towards the screen. No, it was so much worse. And then at the end, yup, da-da-da-da. I love the Ewoks. I love the ending of that thing. And it's like all the other stuff they added to it. You know what? I don't mind seeing the celebrations across the galaxy. Make the movie longer then. But give me my yub-nub. Okay? Give me my yub-nub. And also, I think it is... You have a classic actor who... One of the only ways he gets credit for being Darth Vader is that Force... Like, it's the mask is revealed, and then you have him there as the Force Ghost. To have that wiped away with Hayden Christensen, like, I had no problem with Hayden Christensen, but you're wiping away this actor from that to put that there, and I just no, that's wrong. That's disrespectful. Number 2 reasons I hate Star Wars. Going back to The Last Jedi, Canto Bite. Here's the thing. Canto Bite actually seems on paper like it could be a really interesting thing. We're talking about learning about the rich elite. They don't care which power's inside, this. And, they're getting rich off of both sides. They're selling to the good guys and the bad guys. They're making both of their vehicles. And, it's a lot of commentary and stuff like that. But here's the thing. One, suddenly we devolved to prequel level CGI aliens. Like, it's just a background full of CGI aliens while our actors run across the green screen. Second, the entire fate of the Resistance is based on this mission. And they stop to solve a planetary injustice in horse racing. They risk everything, their lives, the entire lives of the Resistance and everything, to free some horses. Did PETA pay to put that? Like, did they sponsor this movie? Here's the thing. In episode 1, Anakin asks Qui-Gon, are you here to free the slaves? And he says, no. Unfortunately, I have much more important things happening right now than freeing these slaves. There is no way you can tell me that freeing those slaves was less important, less of value than freeing those horses. But it's in context. He is in the middle of a huge mission. Lives are being lost as they speak. A war is about to erupt and go on. And, he just can't get caught up in this right now. And that's sad. And it's not right. And it's an injustice. But that is just not the mission at the moment. And the fact that Scuttlebutt gets derailed, this is why people don't like the Rose Tico character, because this is where she gives the big speech. This is where she leads Finn, who is super impressionable, down this path. Honestly, that's the thing. And then they go through that whole mission, and it proves pointless. And maybe it's pointless because they spend so much time. We don't know, but it's like it. You could cut that entire Scuttlebutt scene out of the movie. It doesn't change the movie at all. It changes nothing about the movie if you remove it. So it adds nothing to the plot, nothing good, and it just really just feels out of place. Okay, my number 1 reasons I hate Star Wars is whiny teen Vader. Vader is the ultimate villain. We talked about this with your Legacy of the Bad Guys, Scarif. I love me Darth Vader. He's the reason that, fall in love with Star Wars. The moment he walks out in A New Hope, it just... Vader. And then to see him, I was not a whiny teen. I was doing my work, keeping my head down, getting out of school, went into independent studies, did high school in half the time, and joined the workforce because I was just so over whiny teens as a kid myself. I don't relate to Vader at all. Or Anakin, I should say. To see that be the reason why he becomes like this ultimate villain and bad guy in the universe was just such a letdown. It is why Episode 2 will always be my lowest ranked Star Wars movie, because he's such a favorite character of mine. The Clone Wars have done a lot to help improve that, but still, to this day, just whiny, heartbroken, emo Vader, Anakin. I don't like it. I am doing my best not to get upset, because when I start talking about this, I get visibly upset. I had a period of time where I was done with Star Wars. I threw out all my stuff, gave it away, threw it away, all that. It wasn't until Disney bought Star Wars that I kind of finally checked out the Clone Wars and stuff, because I kind of like, oh, well, I want to see, because for a certain point, like, I wrote off Star Wars. People would say I like Star Wars, and I would start telling them why Star Trek is superior. That's just what I did. Okay, now for the secret number 11. Always do this when I do a top 10. I have the number 11 that just didn't make the list for some criteria, reason or not, and that is The World Between Worlds. Why doesn't it make this list? Because I think the story where it happens is awesome. And I'm a sci-fi guy that loves time travel, loves all this alternate dimension stuff, and so this is everything I love. However, it's also my secret number 11 because I don't think any of that stuff should be in Star Wars. That is a can of worms that I think Star Wars should never tackle. There's certain things, like I don't like when they get I'm weird about that. Like, I don't like when they get too magical in something like superheroes. Like, for some reason, a kid getting bit by a radioactive spider and being able to swing around the city is totally believable. A guy building a suit that, but the moment when it becomes more hocus pocusy, then suddenly, like, the believability of that property goes away from me. And I feel the same way with Star Wars. Star Wars is sci-fi fantasy, but the moment when you start getting hard sci-fi concepts like time travel and alternate dimensions and all that's thrown into it, suddenly it doesn't feel like Star Wars anymore, and it feels like it just loses some of its mystique. And yeah, World Between Worlds to me breaks Star Wars, and so I don't want to see it come back. As much as people want it to use it to retcon certain movies, I think that is that is a type of thing that I just don't want to start seeing Star Wars become the Star Wars multiverse. Um, it's just that won't be Star Wars. I don't want to see a Star Wars time heist. I don't want that stuff. Put that in Star Trek. Put that in Doctor Who. But put it even in Stargate. But leave it out of my Star Wars. All right. That's my top 10 things that Backyard TARDIS hates about Star Wars. Let's move on. So that was my top 10 reasons I hate Star Wars. Told you all it'd be tongue-in-cheek. So let me know down in the comments, what are some of the things about Star Wars fandom in general that you dislike? Even the things we love, there's always something we can criticize, and usually we criticize out of love. So fire it down in the comments down below. And I'll catch you in the next video.